We are following breaking news. A 1-mile area of Houston has now been evacuated after an F-16 fighter jet caught fire during takeoff. It's happened at Ellington Airport. The pilot, is our understanding, has safely ejected, has been transported to a hospital. CBS News military analyst Mike Lyons joins me now by phone. Mike, what do we know?
Well, still a lot unsure. The pilot ejected himself from the F-16 after it caught fire on this Ellington field, which is a joint air base in Houston where the Air Force has it out of. This is an unusual type of situation where it caught fire really in the process of taking off, and at some point for the pilot to eject during that process, it's very, very dangerous from that operational perspective. The plane crashes now, and there's thought that there's weapons on board there. So with some Sidewinder missiles or whatever's on there could potentially be explosive. So they've got to get as close as they can to it to figure out what danger it has and what other risks there are associated with the plane being crashed now.
So, Mike, when responding to a situation like this, what does the military need to do?
Well, this is a good example where sending in like an unmanned drone at first to see what exactly the environment will tell them, depending on the area. If they've got the area clear, no people there, and if they can establish that perimeter, you send in an unmanned aerial aircraft to try to see where specifically some of the weapons are, if any of them have been armed, if they've actually been destroyed. But they usually respond in a way to make sure that, again, civilian life and the pilot's life is safe first before any other kind of action. And,
Mike, why a 1-mile evacuation zone?
Well, that's likely the circular probable error of the weapons that they have on board there on this F-16, given what the mission was. Now, that's going to be classified. They're not going to want to talk a whole lot about this. But that tells me that there's still a significant amount of ordnance on that aircraft that if somebody got close to as well, perhaps, let's say one of those is intact, they could possibly even steal it. So the military has got to get its hands from an accountability perspective on any ordnance that was on that aircraft in the beginning.
Yeah, you talk about the ordnance on the aircraft. Is there any way of speculating or trying to guess what might have been on board and how they have to deal with sort of containing that?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. If it's a training mission, if given the fact that they've cordoned this off, they might even do something like try to destroy it on the ground. Similar to a situation in a combat zone where a helicopter crashes and can't take back off again. You saw that when Osama bin Laden was captured, for example. They had to destroy a helicopter on the ground. Maybe they might end up doing that if they think that they can't get close to its safety. So there's obviously they're weighing the options that they have, but there's concern about whatever material has been landed on the ground with that aircraft. And
so what will the military be watching in the coming hours for?
Well, I think in the coming hours, they want to get this solved quickly. They don't want to let the situation linger. Once they make an assessment from, let's say, an aerial perspective, from an unmanned perspective, as to whether they can move forward, they'll probably decide if they will destroy in place or whether they'll move in and try to recover the remnants of the plane. And
is there a way of telling, Mike, whether the F-16 fighter jets in general have had any sort of mechanical issues or problems that the military has been concerned about?
Well, that's 2 points. The first thing is there's a black box on there, and they'll go back and revisit to see what specifically happened with the aircraft. Was there anything maintenance-wise? They'll try to recover that as well. But they'll also, in these kinds of situations, they go out to the rest of the Air Force and they look for similar situations on F-16s where the fire started, what specifically happened, which engine. The entire records will be reviewed to find out if there's any trace that could be within the rest of the fleet of aircraft that we have out there.
Mike Lyons with CBS Radio News. Thank you for joining us, Mike.
Thanks for having me.